How's it going, everyone? This is Optimus N64 again, and I just want to say sorry I haven't uploaded a video in a while. I mean, gosh, it's been quite a long time since I have, but I haven't had much better to do lately, so I think now would be the good time to make a video showing off my Nintendo 64 collection. Now, let me start off by saying that this is a video I've been planning to do for quite a while. Heck, this was something I wanted to do back in middle school when I first discovered YouTube. But I never quite made a YouTube account until like my freshman year in high school, which was back in 2008. I'm sure some of you may remember that. But the thing about it is I never just really got around to doing it. I don't know why. But I think now's the time to do it. And a few reasons why I want to show off my Nintendo 64 collection. One, I got inspired by a YouTube user. I don't know if he's still around. If by some chance you're watching this dude, I just want you to know you've been an inspiration. And I'd like to show off my Nintendo 64 collection because of that. The YouTube user in question, his name was Firehawk. I've been watching his channel back like in middle school, almost high school, because I remember he had the Nintendo 64 collection video. He did GameCube, he did the Wii, he did the DS. He did Xbox 360, and he was going to do a PS3 collection video, but he never really got around to doing it. But if by some chance you're watching this, dude, I just want to say thank you for being an inspiration. If you're still around YouTube, I'd like to follow your channel again if you got anything good planned. If you're still doing gaming videos, I think that's great. But I'd like to follow your channel again. Another inspiration came from Metal Jesus Rocks. He had a top 10 collecting tips for video games, and one of them was to show off your collection. And I just wanted to let people know how passionate I am about gaming. So I figured I'd just go ahead and show off a collection video. And I want to start with the Nintendo 64 because it was the very first video game console I'd ever played, and I got quite a big collection for it. And again, this kind of goes back to Firehawk because I first discovered his channel through a Nintendo 64 collection video. And so I figured I'd just start with the Nintendo 64. Now, without further ado, let me tell you my story about the Nintendo 64. This is my Nintendo 64, my personal one. It's the ice blue model. I remember back in '98, me and my family, we went up to Big Kmart, a store that used to be around for a while. I'm just about like 10 minutes away from a shopping district called Southside Mall. And, we used to have a big Kmart there. And then eventually they built a Walmart near us. And I think by 2002, Big Kmart shut down. But before Walmart was built in, we used to go to Big Kmart. And that was when we first picked up the Nintendo 64. Like, we used to go to Big Kmart to pick up video games there because it was the closest video game retail store. Well, not just video game retail store, but just big retail store in general. And the system we got was the Nintendo 64. It was the original black Nintendo 64. I don't know if I still have it. It's probably in our attic. Or maybe we gave it away. I don't quite remember for sure. But the reason why I have the ice blue now is because back around the year 2000, I think, My Nintendo 64 was going through a controller port problem. I don't know how common that is for these Nintendo 64s, but even if you had a controller plugged into port 1, it still wouldn't read. And if you notice, this 64, a while back, the controller port 1 kind of got chipped off a bit, and it actually still reads my controller. I don't know how, but maybe I'll take some clay and fix that piece there, but I don't know for sure when. But as of right now, the reason why I use this ice blue Nintendo 64 is because eventually when they built Walmart in, me and my dad, we went down there and we picked up the ice blue one. And I wanted the ice blue one because, well, blue's my favorite color. I had the ice blue controller, but when I was a kid, the control stick popped off and we had to throw it away. And I know that's kind of sad, because if I had the knowledge back then, I probably would have taken apart the 64 controller and, you know, replaced the control stick. I don't know. As of right now, I have a grape purple and a transparent pink Nintendo 64 controller, and I have the original gray Nintendo 64 controller. The gray one, it's starting to show its age. Either I need to replace the control stick, or I might have to replace the controller in general. I don't know yet, but the control stick in the gray controller, it's definitely starting to go bad. So I don't know. I do hope eventually to save up for another ice blue transparent Nintendo 64 controller. Maybe find the jungle green one. But, you know, as of right now, money's tight on me, so I'm just going to have to save up for a bit. Also, when I was a kid, I lost the cover where you put in the jumper pack, make it the expansion pack. And I eventually, last year, I ordered this purple one. I tried to get the ice blue one, but they got the color wrong. So maybe I'll go to eBay once I figure out how to order off eBay and probably find another ice blue cover. But as of right now, I'll just have to stick to the purple one. Now, if you're wondering why I have a tissue in the reset port, is because my reset button, I think it got stuck, or, you know, it just doesn't work anymore. Here's the reset button cap. I had to take it out because my Nintendo 64 was resetting a lot. I even took apart my Nintendo 64 to clean it out, you know, clean around the reset button. And it turns out that wasn't the problem. I mean, I'm still glad I cleaned out my 64. You know, I'm just trying to take care of this old thing and hopefully play it for a bit. I've been putting some alcohol, like 99% isopropyl alcohol, to clean the cartridge port, and it still reads my games like brand new. And I'm just kind of happy for that. But until I can find a replacement for my reset button, this tissue, it's going to have to stay in so it don't collect dust. Or so, you know, dust don't find a way inside the system. I'm pretty sure it'll find other ways, like the controller port. But I don't know. I hope to get my reset button fixed soon. I stopped the resetting problem for now. But, you know, see, when I had the button in, it was constantly resetting my system. And I was worried it was going to tear up my system, or it was probably going to delete one of my save files. So I don't know. That's solved for now. But until I can get a reset button cap replacement, it's that tissue's just going to have to stay in there. Now, my first experience with the Nintendo 64 started back in '98. My Uncle Chris on my mom's side of the family, he was friends with a guy named Brad. And Brad brought over the Nintendo 64 one day. And one day, I went upstairs in my parents' room, because for some reason we had the 64 hooked up there. You know, Brad's 64 was hooked up there. I remember looking at the system. You know, I was like 5 years old at the time, and I didn't quite know how to work it. I remember putting a cartridge in, like, but I didn't know how to work the system. I remember putting in Banjo Kazooie. He had Banjo Kazooie. He had that cartridge. I remember putting it in the system. I turned on the system and it displayed on the TV. But where I have some form of autism, I was kind of nervous. Like, I was kind of, I guess, dumbstruck. Because, you know, what was normal to Brad was strange to me. But once I figured it out, I started to like the system. And like I said, I won't forget the very first video game I ever played was Banjo Kazooie. I don't remember playing it much when I first started. I do remember when I first started up the game, I was in Gruntilda's lair in the main entrance where you find your first Jiggy, and when you find that big portrait of Grunty, it's just there for show, nothing special. But I remember constantly pushing the blue button, not the blue button, the green B button, and he just kept punching, and I just kept punching until I got to the end of the wall, up to the picture. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but that's how my experience went. When I was a kid, I was just so dumbstruck. I didn't know what I was playing. I think eventually either Brad or Chris came in and said, "Are you playing the Nintendo 64?" And it was right then and there they taught me how to play. And then, of course, we went, like I said before, we went to, eventually, when the money was right, we went to Big Kmart, and we picked up the original black Nintendo 64. And the first game we got was Banjo Kazooie. And I still won't forget that moment. When we got home, we hooked up the Nintendo 64, and we would play it nonstop. It's just, to this day, it remains my favorite. And like I said before, for some reason, the controller port in my original black one, it stopped working. Like, it stopped reading the controller. I don't know how common that problem is, but, if I ever come around to finding that black system, I'll probably try and get it fixed. But as of right now, I'm just going to have to stick with this one. But that's okay, because it still works, still holds up. And, maybe I'll use it for future streaming channels. Maybe post some Let's Plays. So, till then, I'm just going to have to stick to doing these kind of videos. Now, I don't have a tripod for my phone yet. I'm using my Wii U gamepad stand. Not the charging one, but just the standard stand. And it seems to hold my phone just fine. And I'm just going to probably keep using this for future video game collection videos. But we'll just keep it how it is. Now, here are some accessories of the Nintendo 64. This is the Game Boy pack. Oh, my computer light just turned on. This is the Nintendo 64 Game Boy pack. You hook it up underneath your controller. But, there's like a... I can't show it. I'm sorry, guys. The camera's not in good position to do so. But, you plug this under your controller, and you plug a Game Boy Color game into there. And this Game Boy pack is more recognizable in the Pokemon community than any other Nintendo communities. Because if you had like Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, you could... And Pokemon Stadium was only exclusive to first gen. Pokemon Stadium 2, you could, if you had a copy of Pokemon Gold, Silver, or Crystal, you could transfer your Pokemon onto the game, or you could go to the Game Boy Tower and play Pokemon like you would on TV. And then when you had to go out, that was like when you had to go out, you can quit playing on the system, and you can take your Game Boy cartridge out and put it in your Game Boy, and you could just play it on the go. That was like one of the early prototypes of the Nintendo Switch. Of course, there was like Super Game Boy on Super Nintendo. I recently had to replace a battery in my copy of Pokemon Gold. I found it at a thrift store in Lexington, Kentucky for about $5, and the battery in it was dead. And thank God it was a legit copy, because normally if you go to thrift stores, chances are you'll find a bootleg or a reproduction. I don't know. You'll find a fake cart. But it was legit. The battery in it was dead. And that made me assume it was a fake cart. But once I took it apart, it was a legit cart. So I replaced the battery. Maybe if I ever hook my system back up, I'll probably go back to playing Pokemon Stadium 2. And maybe I'll play my copy of Pokemon Gold through the Game Boy Tower. But lately I've been playing most of my Game Boy games on the Nintendo GameCube. Like, there was a Game Boy player on the GameCube, but I'll save that for a future video. Another accessory for the 64 was the memory card. Unfortunately, my memory card is put away somewhere. I think I have it put up in my closet or something, because we're gonna, like most of my game consoles, they're all put up anyway, because we're eventually gonna paint my room. I don't know when though, but as of right now, I really don't feel like digging for this thing. It's not in the box, but I'm keeping the box for display purposes. And this was also how you got your Nintendo 64 game cartridges. They were in a box shaped like this. And another reason why I want to keep this is because I can't remember the last time I had a Nintendo 64 cartridge box. And I just want to remember the good times. But without further ado, let me explain the memory card. I think the Nintendo 64 was the first game console to not utilize memory cards. That was probably the Sega Saturn, where you put a memory card in the system. If not, it was probably the original PlayStation. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. But the Nintendo 64 was the first game console to where you put the memory card in the controller. A lot of people assume Sega did that with the Dreamcast, but in reality, Nintendo was the first to do it. In the Nintendo 60, like I said, in the Nintendo 64, it had the same place where you put the Game Boy player, or, you know, the Game Boy expansion. Also about the Game Boy expansion, I forgot to mention, you know, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, you can only play the first gen Pokemon games. You can't play the second gen on the Game Boy Tower, but if you have Pokemon Stadium 2, yeah, that's when you can play the second gen, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. But you could also go back in time and play the first gen, Blue, Red, and Yellow. But it also made use for the Mario sport games, like golf and tennis, where you could transfer characters. Like, I remember one time I let my cousin Derek borrow Mario Tennis on the 64, and when he was done with it, he gave it back to me. Like, he gave me those 4 different characters. One was Tiffany. I think another kid was Alex. I don't know. I'll have to look them up again. It's just been so long since I remember. I'd like to find a copy of Mario Tennis on Game Boy Color just to get those characters. And maybe Mario Golf as well. Perfect Dark, a game by Rare. It, you know, is a spiritual successor to GoldenEye. I think if you were to plug in the Game Boy Color version of Perfect Dark, you can upload it to the main game on the 64, get additional, or maybe additional missions. I don't know. I'm sure you'll get some content through it. But if you know how it works, just let me know in the comments below. And Rare was also originally going to make use of the Game Boy camera. Like, if you had a copy of if you had a copy of Perfect Dark, you could plug your Game Boy camera in the Game Boy port, and you could take pictures of yourself and use yourself as a character model for the game's multiplayer mode. But I think they ended up dropping it after the tragic incident at the Columbine High School shooting, and, you know, the media was trying to put the blame on video games. So I think Rare, for now, did the smart thing, and they dropped that feature altogether. It would have been cool, but hey, they probably did the best. So without further ado, I guess we'll go on ahead and get into the games. This is where I keep most of my games. This is a Nintendo 64 drawer. As you can see, I took it out because I wanted to have it all here and to show you my accessories or my Nintendo 64 collection. So we're going to start off with the Holy Grail of my collection, or I might as well call it the Holy Grail. It's not a very rare game, but it's made by a company named Rare. And that game is Banjo-Kazooie. Like I said before, very first video game I ever played. Fun as hell. I still enjoy it. I still play this cartridge to this day. I have this game on Xbox Live via the 360. I have it on Rare Replay for the Xbox One. But it was one of the best platformer adventure games I ever played when I was a kid. In fact, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but I actually prefer this over Super Mario 64. It's just that fun. I love Super Mario 64. It comes as a second favorite game of all time. You know, second favorite N64 game, second favorite platformer. But this right here is my all-time favorite game. It just has that much sentimental value to me. I still play this cartridge to this day. Okay. Now, the story of Banjo-Kazooie, it's about a honey bear named Banjo and a Breagle bird known as Kazooie, and they go on an adventure to rescue Banjo's little sister Tootie from an evil witch named Gruntilda. There's characters like Bottles the Mole, where he teaches you all these different moves, and then there's Mumbo Jumbo, the shaman, who will turn you into all these different creatures. Then there's these Genjos right here. You collect 5 of them in each world, you get rewarded with a jigsaw piece. And that's the goal of Banjo-Kazooie, is to collect all the puzzle pieces to unlock different worlds and find all the 100 music notes to move freely around Gruntilda's lair. Now, eventually at the end of the game, they you play this I guess mini game called Grunty's Furnace Fun, where you move around on this board and answer questions related to the game. These are questions based off of what you've seen or heard in the game, what character voices, and trivia questions. And then there was trivia questions exclusively to Gruntilda and her past, and that's where you find Gruntilda's good sister, Brentilda, and she tells you all her secrets. And each time you play through the game, be sure to rewrite all the answers down on paper, because the answers change every now and then when you play the game. And then there was these Joker spaces. They're based off every other question. And then there was these time trials where you have to spell Banjo-Kazooie's name in Treasure Trove Cove Sandcastle Floor. But when you play Grunty's Furnace Fun, you spell the name backwards. And then, there was some of the boss battles, like, hold on, let me turn on my computer again. I may just turn on my ceiling light. But you have, Grunty's Furnace Fun. You have these Joker boards. If you answer the question correctly, you get a Joker card where you can skip a board. And I know this is a dirty tactic, but when I get to the final board, and there's these other and the final board isn't the only one that have it, but there's these other boards with a skull face. You answer the question wrong or fail the challenge, you get knocked off into the pit of lava, and you lose an extra life. Lose all your lives, game over. But eventually, you get past Grunty's Furnace Fun, and you rescue Banjo's sister Tootie, but then you have to go back to the top of Gruntilda's lair, and you have to, collect the remaining music notes. There's 900 notes in total, but only 810 are required to beat the game. I kind of forgot how many are required to open all the note doors. But there's also a total of 100 jiggies, golden puzzle pieces to get. But only 94 are required to beat the game. And I think 98 are required to fill in all the picture frames, because the last picture frame is optional. It only requires 4 jigsaw pieces. And it's to extend your health bar. There's these empty honeycomb pieces you collect, 6 in total. It adds a honeycomb piece to your health bar, and then you find that last picture frame, and that one's technically optional. I think the true last picture frame is Gruntilda herself. That requires 20 jiggies, and you fill in the picture frame, and you get to unlock the door leading to Dingpot, and he launches you up to the top of Grunty's tower, and where you finally beat her. If you collect all 100 jiggies, you get to see those secret stop and swap items, that pictures of secrets you missed in the game, and Mumbo shows you. He shows you the pink key in Treasure Trove Cove, and the blue key, not the key, the mystery pink egg in Treasure Trove Cove, where Shark Food Island rises, and there's a little cave in there, and you got to climb to the top. And then there's the mystery blue egg that's in Golby's Valley, hidden within a tomb, in a casket, a mummy's casket. And then there was the crystal key. Now, I first discovered the crystal key without Mumbo's pictures, because when I got the orange Jinjo, I looked inside through that glass wall, and there I saw the key, and I was like, I wonder what that key is. And then years down the road, when I first discovered YouTube, I came to realize what those 6 colored eggs were. There was the cyan, the light blue one, the pink one, there was the blue one, there's a green one, a red one, and a yellow one, and of course there was the crystal key. Stop and swap was a feature not used in the 64 version, but was later used in the Xbox Live version. Their original goal was for you to instantly swap out this cartridge and then put Banjo-Tooie in, because the 64 had some kind of memory RAM, but they didn't want to risk tearing up cartridges. So, yeah, they decided to cancel the plan and wait until Xbox Live to use it. That's the secret they revealed eventually when Xbox Live versions of Banjo-Kazooie came out. But back then, it was all a mystery. We kept waiting to see what the stop and swap items were for. But what they do is that you transfer the eggs over to Banjo-Tooie and let this character named Heggy the hen hatch them. Or Eggy the hen. I'm not sure how her name is pronounced, but you give her the eggs, she hatches them. But that's only in the Xbox Live version of the game, because in the original 64 version of Banjo-Tooie, you have to find the blue and pink eggs from a Banjo-Kazooie game cartridge within the game Banjo-Tooie. 2 of them are in Spiral Mountain. One is in a waterfall cave, and one is in another cave where those tree stumps are. And then in Jinjo Village, you'll find a secret cave leading, a secret crystal cave that leads to the other 64 cartridge. You beat it, and you get the crystal key. The crystal key, and like I said, only in the Xbox version, you transfer the crystal key over to the second game. But in the 64 version, you find the crystal key in the second game, and you use it for the safe to find a Mega Globo, and you take it to Humba Wumba, and I'll explain her later, and she turns Kazooie into a dragon. But I remember when I was a kid. Now, come middle school, when the years, the days I first discovered YouTube, that was when I came across like IGN, and I found the cheat codes to get the stop and swap items. I get the stop and swap items, and well, clearly I wasted my time, because Rare decided to wait until the Xbox Live version of this game to fully utilize stop and swap. They can also be transferred over to Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, where you can use vehicular parts. And I guess I want to explain Nuts and Bolts later on in this video, maybe. But I remember this game a lot. And what's funny is about this game, and I didn't know this until like middle school or high school, or maybe after my years in high school. Now, I take that back. I first discovered the stop and swap cheat codes back in around middle school, and that was also when I realized that if I were to type in the word cheat on Sandcastle Floor in Treasure Trove Cove, you spell out the words cheat, you'll hear a moo cow sound, mocking you for being a cheater. You can type in codes for infinite eggs, feathers, maybe lives, or you can skip the game, like open up all the worlds and the note doors. But then, come after my years in high school, I found out that if you abuse the cheat system in this game, it deletes your save file, punishing you for cheating. That's a dirty move, but clever at the same time. Although I do think they were kind of a bit unfair, because if you want my opinion, if you beat the game 100%, fair and square, then I think they should give you the right to use cheats and not delete your save file. That's just my opinion, but hey, I can understand why they punish you for cheating in the first place. But anyways, great game, magnificent game. I really wish it would make a comeback, turn it into a full-on franchise, rival other platformers like Mario and Sonic, rival Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. And that's the thing, for years the gaming industry or the community, they used to think Crash and Spyro were outdated, nobody wants to play them anymore, and look what happened, especially with Crash Bandicoot. See, with Crash Bandicoot, we got a full-blown remake of the original trilogy, and then the racing game, Team Racing, got remade via Nitro Field. And not only did Crash Bandicoot got full-on remakes, he also got a fourth game, which was more of an alternative sequel, called Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. And as of right now, Spyro, his original trilogy got remade via the Spyro Reignited trilogy. We don't have a brand new game yet, but hey, if Crash and Spyro can make comebacks, Banjo-Kazooie should do the same as well. And here's the thing, not to sound entitled or anything, but I have a dream career of becoming an author. I want to write a book, and I'd like to go beyond just writing short stories and books. I'd like to be a script writer for, maybe movies and maybe video games. I could be a freelance script writer, just write scripts for multiple game companies or movies that I can think of. Say Microsoft, if by some chance you're watching this, and I know this is going to be embarrassing to say, but let me write a script for the third game. Even without the original people, it can still happen. Again, just go back to the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, the Team Racing remake, and the fourth game, alternative sequel. I'll try my best to come up with a script for the third game. I have ideas for 2 other main series Banjo-Kazooie games, but I want to save them for the 4th and 5th game. Now, the 4th Banjo-Kazooie game that I'm coming up with, my idea for the 4th game is for Gruntilda to harness the powers of the 4 basic elements, water, fire, earth, and air, and then she tries to use them to take over Spiral Mountain. And then she teams up with the spirit of the dark element, and then Banjo-Kazooie teams up with the light spirit of the light element, and you travel to these 4 elemental islands. Make it 6 elemental islands, water, fire, earth, air, light, and dark. And some of Banjo-Kazooie's moves could be based around elemental powers. I got the idea from an Xbox adventure game called Azaric Rise of Parathia. It was like the Legend of Zelda equivalent to Xbox. And that's where I got the idea for Banjo-Kazooie, because or my potential fourth Banjo-Kazooie game that I'd like to type out on a script. In Azaric Rise of Parathia, you have to find these 4 elemental discs. No, not 4, 6. You got to find... Actually, it's 5. You got to find the pieces to the life disc, and then the 4 pieces to the water, fire, earth, and air discs. Because the main villain, Balthazar, he takes the death disc. And I'd like to create characters to represent the spirits of the elements. And I want to give them some kind of, give them each different personalities inspired by the elemental mask from Crash the Wrath of Cortex. And like I said, the light spirit is the good spirit, and they're trying to maintain the balance of power of the elements. And in my story, Banjo-Kazooie can stop Gruntilda from harnessing the powers of the elements and defeat the light, or not the light, the dark spirit. But, that's just my idea. I'd like to put it all down on paper. Maybe if we put it into action, maybe it'll turn out to be a good game. I don't know. And as far as a 5th Banjo-Kazooie game, and I got the idea from Crash Twinsanity. In my potential 5th Banjo-Kazooie game that I'd like to see come to life, it's where Banjo-Kazooie teams up with Gruntilda to stop a bigger threat. Just like Crash Twinsanity, where Crash and Cortex team up to stop the evil twins. But, I'll have to come up with a villain. I'll have to come up with some worlds. I can't promise that I'll ever get those stories typed, but, that's just one of my dream career. I'd love to submit them to Rare and Microsoft, maybe get adapted, And I'd love to see a full-on franchise for Banjo-Kazooie. I want to see a 4th and 5th game, or, I want to see a 3rd game, a proper 3rd game, and maybe more spin-offs like Nuts and Bolts, which was a fun game, but not a proper sequel. But I want to save that story for another video. I'd like to see some Banjo-Kazooie side-scrollers like Donkey Kong Country and, Yooka-Laylee the Impossible Lair. Maybe some top-down fixed camera angle Banjo-Kazooie games like Grunty's Revenge. Maybe a remake of Grunty's Revenge, a remake of Banjo Pilot. Maybe a proper Banjo kart racing game. I know Diddy Kong Racing was a thing, but I'd love to see a Banjo kart racing game where you get all the different Banjo-Kazooie characters to race it out via Grand Prix. Maybe get some other guest characters from Rare, like those koala-like creatures from Jet Force Gemini. I forgot what they were called. And maybe get Conquer the Squirrel. And maybe some standard Xbox characters like Blinks the Time Sweeper. And maybe Azaric from Azaric Rise of Parathia. Kind of like how Link from The Legend of Zelda is in Mario Kart. I know that's a little wild for an idea, but hey, it seems pretty cool. I don't know for sure, but I'd love to see the future of Banjo-Kazooie return. I really hope Rare, Microsoft gets it together. Maybe Phil Spencer will talk some sense to them. I have my doubts, because they're still making a living off Sea of Thieves, and, they're already in the process of making a brand new game. I forgot what it's called. I'll have to look it up again. But, it's hard to say if the Bear and Bird will ever return. I know they're in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They were DLC in Fighter Pass 1 back in 2019 when they also announced the Dragon Quest 11 hero alongside Dragon Quest 3 and 4 heroes and the one from 8, I think. But, who knows, guys? Maybe their appearance in Super Smash Bros. Worked out. And maybe the Bear and Bird will probably return. It's hard to say, but I'd love for it to return. And like I said before, this is my all-time favorite video game, my all-time favorite Nintendo game, or probably Xbox game if Microsoft will embrace it more. It's the reason why I know a lot of people in the Banjo-Kazooie community. It's the reason why I know Josh Jepson. You know, that's his favorite game too. I'm friends with a guy at work. Banjo-Kazooie is his favorite video game too. It wasn't his first video game, but that's why I consider it my favorite video game, because it was the first game I ever played. Chances are, had I not played this game, I probably wouldn't be the gamer that I am today. I don't know. But it's a great game. Definitely recommend you pick it up. You know, if you got a Nintendo 64 laying around, if you find a used 64 at a used GameStop store, and if you find a cartridge of Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, by all means pick this game up. Or if you got an Xbox 360 laying around, you know, you can download it via Xbox Live along with the sequel and the third game. Or if you got an Xbox One, you can use the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility on it, or the Xbox Series X or S. But, you know, if you want a physical copy of the Xbox version, you'll have to get the Rare Replay. It's just a lot of fun. You know, parents, if you're watching this, if you got an Xbox One or the latest Series X, by all means, get this game for your kids. I think they'll enjoy it. Good grief, I went on a long story of this video. I'm so sorry, guys, but it's just, there was so much to say about this game. And like I said before, I hope Rare considers bringing it back. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and put it up. I'm gonna try and keep my collection video short. I mean, I know I'm going over 40 minutes, but I'll try not to talk too long on these games. Now, next up is the sequel, Banjo-Tooie. I like Banjo-Tooie. I think it's a very well thought of game, well designed game. Big improvement over the first game, but like I said before, if you gave me the option, I'd have to prefer Banjo-Kazooie 1, or, you know, Banjo-Kazooie, because, like I said, it's the first game I played, my all-time favorite, but Banjo-Tooie definitely takes the cake as well. The Banjo-Kazooie franchise, if it even becomes a full-on franchise, it's just my favorite franchise in general, my favorite video game of all time. But what I like about Banjo-Tooie is that they added more to the action-adventure genre. You know, in this game, Grunty returns, but she's all skeleton. She has no body because she was buried under the... At the end of the first game, she falls from her tower, gets attacked by the mighty Ginginator. She falls off the tower, gets crushed by a boulder, and 2 years after the events of Banjo-Kazooie, literally, because this came out 2 years after Banjo-Kazooie, she remains buried under the boulder. Her servant Klongo tries to free her. Her sisters Mingella and Blobelda, the other evil witch sisters, because, you know, Brynhilda's the only good one as far as my knowledge, they come to free Gruntilda. And so they take Gruntilda back to Cauldron Keep, which is a big castle tower for the witches, and they have a big ray gun that can suck up the life of any life form on the Isle of Hags, which is the main hub world of the game. This time there's only 90 jiggies to get. Collect all 90 jiggies and you get, I believe, the character parade, or maybe just the credits. You definitely get something. But because, and out of revenge, she tries to kill Banjo-Kazooie and their friends, but they only end up killing Bottles. And Banjo-Kazooie have to go on another adventure to stop Gruntilda from getting her revenge. And you meet Jam Jars. He's Bottles' brother, and he's literally like a drill sergeant, but he teaches you some more advanced moves, like shooting eggs while in the air when you're flying, you know, let Kazooie glide and not have to use her feathers. You know, he can separate the two and they can go individually. And this time around, Mumbo Jumbo becomes a playable character. And he he can use his shaman powers to activate things around the levels you're in, the world you're in, and he can help you get jiggies. And you take these jiggies to the all-powerful Jiggy Wiggy, the ruler of the secret society of Jiggies. You know, you place them in the picture frames like the bottle's bonus secret levels on the first game. Well, they're not levels, but they're secret challenges. And you complete those different challenges. You can type in codes on Sandcastle Floor, Treasure Trove Cove. And, you know, you get all those... You make fun of Banjo. You give him a big head, a big nose, bigger hands and feet, a tall, slim Banjo-Kazooie, and turn him into a washing machine. And in this game, he can also get turned into a washing machine, but it's to spit out underwear projectiles and to wash clothes of all the grunty industry workers. There's the Hellfire Peaks level that's fire and ice base. You know, in the first game, you learn how to shoot eggs, but Jam Jars teaches you how to use different types of eggs, like the fire and ice eggs. There's grenade eggs. There's the Clockwork Kazooie eggs. And it's a big improvement. I remember the Mayan Temple level. I love that level. Glitterter Gulch Mine was a pretty good level. Once you get it all figured out, it can be a cool level. Witchy World, I'm sorry, is kind of my least favorite level. I don't hate it, but the music, I understand it's supposed to be a horror-themed level, but a carnival that was closed for reckless, unsafe environments. Come to think of it, I think Von Clutch's Motor World from Crash Tag Team Racing, I think that theme park was so dangerous, it makes Witchy World look safe. But, you know, I mean, it can still be a cool level. There was Jolly Roger's Lagoon, another good level that I enjoy. Pterodactyl Land, a good level. It's a dinosaur-themed level. And this time, each level has traditional bosses, not just the standard ones from the first game, but full-on video game boss fights. And some of them turn good at the end, like Terry, the pterodactyl, he turns good. I think Old King Cole turns good because he lets you use the train to travel all over Witchy World, and all the different levels, they kind of connect to each other, where you can backtrack after getting a new power-up. You could go back to that level to get a new Jiggy. In some ways, this is kind of like a Metroidvania game, where you backtrack after getting a new power-up. But, you know, and then at the end of the game, they fight Klongo, because you fight him 3 times. You got to hit him 3 times in each fight. In each different fight, he has different potions. There's a blue potion that turns him invisible, a red potion that grows him into a giant, and a green puzzle that turns him invisible. Eventually, after the 3rd fight, he realizes he's a bad henchman for Gruntilda, and he decides to quit. He decides to leave her and go on to make stupid video games. So, and then you have another quiz show, the Tower of Tragedy, where you got to beat Mingella and Blobelda, Grunty's sisters. You beat them, you got to beat Grunty herself. You got to surpass 15 points as a score. But then Grunty, she refuses to accept defeat, so she declares the game a tie. And then she escapes like she did in the first game, and then you meet her on top of the tower again. But then you activate the blaster, the ray gun, and you revive Bottles back to life. And then there was the Genjo King. He gives you your first Jiggy, but then he gets zombified because he has the life sucked out of him. But then the life goes back into King Jiggy Wiggy. No, not King Jiggy Wiggy. King Jingling. That was his name. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of getting bored. But I'll wrap it up as soon as I can. But Banjo-Tooie, definitely a good game. And like I said, at the end of the game, you fight Gruntilda in a driller machine. You beat Gruntilda. She becomes nothing but a head. Because she has no body, she's nothing more than a skull head. And at the end of the game, she says, just wait till Banjo 3E, which we never got one. I remember, I kind of think we were supposed to get one for the GameCube, but it probably got canceled and probably redeveloped into nuts and bolts. There was all these different Banjo-Kazooie games Rare had in mind, but after they got bought by Microsoft, I don't know. I don't know what that tech demo was supposed to represent in Space World, but, you know, hey, Microsoft, please make a third game. I understand Rare's intention. You know, from what I heard, Rare never intended to make a third game. It was just a little joke based off another Rare game that you beat, and they tease a sequel that never happened. I don't know the whole deal, but, you know, Rare, please bring back Banjo-Kazooie. And another cool thing about this game is that it has first-person shooter segments based off of GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, especially Perfect Dark because it came out the same year as this game. Now, those were a lot of fun. And then after Perfect Dark, they left Rare to form Free Radical and make like Time Splitters and whatnot, but different video, different topic. But like I said, good game. You can get it on Xbox Live, or if you find it at a used game store for a Nintendo 64, by all means, pick this game up. You won't be disappointed. Now, let's see what else we got here. Oh, yeah. A classic. Super Mario 64. This game is fun. Really fun. It was the first 3D platformer Mario game ever made. It was released in September 96 as a launch title for the Nintendo 64. It's a full 3D dimension Mario game. You go through these picture frames, these paintings. You go to these different worlds. Peach's Castle is the hub. You collect all these different stars. Only 70 are required to beat the game. And the story is, Peach has baked a cake for Mario, or she was going to bake him a cake, but then she gets kidnapped by Bowser. And Bowser steals the power of the secret stars. And you got to retrieve all the stars. Only 70 are required to beat the game, but if you collect all 120, you get to go to the top of the castle. You meet Yoshi. You get a thank you message from the Mario 64 team. And you get 100 lives to speed run the levels, I guess. I don't know, but really fun. You can get this on the Nintendo Switch via the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, but where Nintendo stopped producing them, you're probably going to have to pay an arm and a leg on like Amazon or eBay. Hopefully, if you're lucky enough to find it for the Switch. But, you know, if you can go to the used games market and pick this up. It was on the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console, but because the Wii Shop channel's closed, or, well, kind of closed, you can still get on there. I think you could still download the Skyward Sword patch channel, but, you know, you can also, if you have a Wii U laying around, you can get on the eShop, you can download this game. You know, you get power-ups where you can, a wing cap to glide, a transparent cap to go through walls in some ways, and there's the metal cap. The iconic Peach's Secret Slide. And when I was a kid, I once got up to 119 stars. And I could not, and for the life of me, could not find out where to find the last star. I could have sworn it was in Big Boo's Hunt. And I remember getting 100 coins to get the star, but then I got killed by the Big Boo in the merry-go-round, and I think it glitched out, and I didn't get the star, or maybe I just didn't keep. Maybe I didn't keep track of the star count, and I had probably 118 stars, but maybe eventually I got all the stars again, or I got all 100 coins again, and got the star again, and it was actually goes up to 119. I don't know. I've got some attention problems, but then come till high school, I think high school anyway, I found out that the Secret Slide actually has another star. You know, the first star you can get by reaching at the end of the slide, and then if you can beat the slide in under 20 seconds, you get this secret star. And it took me till high school to figure that out. When I got the final star, I beat Bowser in the sky, got into the cannon, blast myself on top of Peach's castle, and found Yoshi, got the lives, had fun with it. A lot of fun games. There was all these rumors about Luigi being in the game, but the truth is he's not in the game. It was supposed to get a follow-up, like an expansion for the disc drive add-on, the Nintendo 64 DD, but it was a failure in Japan and never got localized, and maybe we never got that Super Mario 64 too. But there's Super Mario 64 DS. You know, Luigi is playable there. Not only that, so is Wario and Yoshi. But then there came rumors of Waluigi being playable. Oh, the joys of the internet. Brainwashing at its finest. But yes, really good game. If you find it on the Wii U eShop, or if you can find the 3D All-Stars for the Nintendo Switch, pick this game up. You will love it. Now, moving on. Again, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to try my best to... This is probably going to be an hour-long video, but I'm going to try my best not to talk so much for these games. But moving on. Mario Golf. This is a pretty fun game. As I mentioned before, the battery in it died, and I had to replace the battery. And now I can have a save file and probably unlock all those characters again. You know, my dad, he used to play this game a lot, and when we played the single-player mode, he got up to Bowser, but we never could beat him. We could never unlock him. He was just one tough cookie. And if I had the Game Boy Color version of this game, I could transfer the characters from the Game Boy up to the Nintendo 64. You know, there's some additional characters only playable on the Game Boy, and you could transfer them to the 64 version. Kind of a shame, though, but hey, maybe eventually I'll come and find it at a used game store. Maybe have some more fun. I remember there was like Koopa Park, and then there was the Ring Shot Challenge, which was hard. There was the tournament mode. You know, like I said, get the character mode where you try to unlock all these different characters. Funny, when you play the multiplayer mode, you'll have all the standard characters like Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Wario, Sunny, Harry. You'll have them unlocked right away. But in the single player mode, you only start off with Plum, Peach, a boy named Alex, I think that was his name, and then there was like Baby Mario. Again, it's a fun game. I can't recommend it to everyone, but if you're into the Mario Sports series, I think you'll love it. It's a lot of fun. Moving along. Here is Mario Tennis. This is another fun game. A classic, worth your time. Nowadays, you can get some of the cooler series installments like Mario Ultra not Ultra Tennis. You get Mario Tennis Aces for the Switch, and now there was a new Mario Golf for the Switch. I've forgot the name for it, but much like Mario Golf, you can use the Game Boy pack and transfer characters from the Game Boy Color version. Get the characters here, and in this game, Bowser just comes and he wants to have fun. They all play tennis together. You get all these clay courts. You get a Donkey Kong themed court, a Yoshi's Island themed court, Mario Brothers tennis court where you're on a castle. It's just a lot of fun. And the tournament mode where you get those trophies. If you see this game, I think you can get it on the Wii U eShop. By all means, pick it up. It's a lot of fun. Now, here's an interesting set of games. This was the original Mario Party trilogy. Here's the first one. Mario Party was developed by Hudson Soft, known for making the Bomberman series. But Mario Party, the story, is that everybody wants to be a superstar. So Toad takes him to the Mushroom Village, and he takes him to a warp pipe and leads him to all these different worlds, these board maps. And much like a board game, your character would hit a dice block or a die block and roll a certain amount of spaces. Whatever number was displayed on the box is the amount of spaces you moved. There was these blue spaces that gave you coins, red spaces that took your coins away. The object was to collect 20 coins and to buy a power star. The player with the most stars at the end is the superstar. Now, if they have the same amount of stars, you have to have more coins than the other opponent, or they'll have to settle off in some kind of tiebreaker. And that was the story. If you collected all 100 stars, you would face Bowser in the Eternal Star. Now, actually, all the different board maps, they're character-based themed. There's Mario's Rainbow Castle, my personal favorite, has the most beautiful music in the history of gaming. And there was Luigi's Engine Room, where you're on a flying ship, like the one from Super Mario 64. There's Peach's Birthday Cake, where you're on a big birthday cake. There's Yoshi's Tropical Island. You know, you got a fruit-based island, you got a beach-based island. Wario's Battle Cannon, where these bombs, they're in war with each other. It's the red ones versus the black ones. But they shoot you out of these cannons onto different lands of the canyon. And then there was DK's Jungle Adventure. And that's my second favorite board map. It's kind of one of those basic board maps, like Wario's Battle Canyon and Luigi's Engine Room. In DK Jungle Adventure, the star is randomized, but in Yoshi's Tropical Island, the star space can switch from the tropical island to the fruit island. You know, the beach island to the fruit island. And then there was the basic. You beat all those levels, and you get to unlock Bowser's Magma Mountain for 980 coins, and that's Bowser's own theme, and the star space is randomized there, but it's only exclusive in one space for Peach's Birthday Cake and Mario's Rainbow Castle. Funny, if you pay Bowser, if you get to Bowser in Mario's Rainbow Castle, and Bowser's the bad luck of the game. He gives you so much misfortune. If you had 40 coins, he'd give you a black star known as Zdar, and in the original Mario Party in this game, it does not deplete your star count. But in later Mario Party games, like 6, for example, or 5 if you count the card-based board map, it would deplete, it would take off your star points. But in this game, it was just done for humor. And then if you reach, like I said, you reach 100 stars, you would get the Eternal Star board map, and it's in a more original board map, not based off any of the characters. And if you beat the board map, you beat the game, and you become the superstar. You know? There was these 4 versus 4 mini games. There was 1 versus 3 mini games of one player against the other 3. There was the 2 versus 2 mini games, and then there was these standard single player games. They were a lot of fun. Of course, you can go to the mini game island to play the mini games right away. And even if you played them right away, you couldn't just unlock them right off the bat. You still had to buy them from the Toad in the minigame house. Funny, I used to think that Toad was Toad's grandmother, but I don't know who these characters are anyway. I was just some silly kid back then. I always had these weird imaginations. It's funny. Here's the recent thing. At E3 this year, coming out October 29th, 2021, Mario Party Superstars is going to contain a lot of mini games from this game, Mario Party 2, Mario Party 3, and it's going to have some of the board maps from the first 3 Mario Party games. And it's going to have some of the newer characters like Waluigi, Daisy, Birdo, Rosalina, Toadette. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. But then, of course, you got Mario Party 2, and the story here is that it was all told out through a play. And they're arguing over who should be the ruler of this land. There was Mario Land, Wario Land, Peach Land, but then Bowser, he plots to attack the land, and Mario and his friends, they have to go through these different board maps to go up against Bowser. And that's the story. There's a Western land where you're cowboys, deputies. There's the Space Land where you're Space Patrol soldiers. There's the Mystery Land where you're archaeologists. There's Horror Land, which is my personal favorite of this board. Pirate Land where you're a bunch of pirates. In the Horror Land, you're wizards and witches. Well, Peach is the witch, but everyone else is a wizard. And you have to stop Bowser from taking over. Now, like I forgot to mention in the first Mario Party, all the different board maps in Mario's Rainbow Castle, you collect all the stars on that board map to regain the Rainbow Castle's power. Luigi's Engine Room restores power to the engine. Peach's birthday cake gets finished. Yoshi's Tropical Island has a blue and pink Yoshi that gets united. Wario Battle Cannon, where the Bob-omb War is over. Donkey Kong Tropical Jungle Adventure, where you find the Golden Banana Treasure. Bowser's Magma Mountain, where you defeat Bowser. But then the Eternal Star is where you bring the Eternal Star back together and defeat Bowser and Bowser Jr. Not Bowser Jr., but at the time it was Baby Bowser. But when Baby Bowser became a thing in Mario and Luigi Partners of Time and Yoshi's Island DS, they were renamed to Koopa Kids in the GameCube versions. Actually, I think it was Mario Party 3, or no, not Mario Party 3, but Mario Party 4 when they renamed him to Koopa Kid. Of course, there's Bowser Jr., Bowser's only son, and he shares the same character model as Baby Bowser in Partners in Time and maybe future Mario Party games or just Mario games in general. But then there's you beat all those main board maps, you unlock Bowser Land, where it's a theme park, it's a carnival, and then you gain the power of the Superstar. You pull Bowser around by the tail, a la Mario 64. You defeat him. Now, in the first two Mario Party games, you only start off with Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Wario, and Donkey Kong. But then there came Mario Party 3, or no, not the original Mario Party 3. And they added Waluigi and Princess Daisy as playable characters. Now, in this game, a giant star comes down when Mario's relaxing, and he brings his friends together, and then Lakitu brings a toy chest, and inside the toy chest there was a board map and a die block, and that's when Mario and his friends decided to sell this out. Whoever becomes the Superstar, whoever wins the Mario Party, gets to claim the Millennium Star. That's the giant star that crashed in Mario's area. But suddenly the Millennium Star started to glow and transported Mario and all his friends in the toy chest. And that's when the Millennium Star becomes a character, and he wants you to collect, in the main single player mode, he wants you to collect the 7 different star stamps to, I don't know if it's 7 or 8, but there's these different star stamps. And then after you collect all the stamps, you have to beat him. And then you come to realize he wasn't the real Millennium Star, but the real Millennium Star was inside the other character, Tumble, who was a die block. And the true Millennium Star he had there was a more little glowing silver star or something. I'm not sure what color the Millennium Star was, but the little one, that was the true Millennium Star. You can watch all these videos on YouTube. You can watch the single player cutscenes if you want. It's kind of hard for me to explain, but I forgot to mention in Mario Party 2. Mario Party 2 has use of items. You can only carry one item, and some of the item mini games were more based off the stages. And there was the dual mini games. They were based off the board maps too, the stages. Here in Mario Party 3, the dual mini games are more original. Same with the item mini games, and you can carry up to 3 items at a time. You can use these items to have different effects, like the regular mushroom to roll 2 dice blocks, a golden mushroom to roll 3, a skeleton key to open up a door to another area, And in this game, there was the poison mushroom to slow down your process, only one, two, or three spaces. And then there was the reverse mushroom that made you go in reverse. There was the magic lamp, where you can automatically teleport to the star. Let's see, there was a dueling glove, where you duel with another opponent. There was a Boo Bell, where you can call Boo, and Boo was the biggest friend destroyer in Mario Party, where you can steal coins and stars. 50 coins, kind of a ripoff, but it's still worth it. But he's still a star. And with the Boo Bell in Mario Party 2 and 3, you can call him whenever you want and still a star. And in this game, you can pick up a Toad phone and call Toad, and he'll send you an item. I think sometimes Baby Bowser, because sometimes Baby Bowser will take over the item shop. And then there's the Bowser phone. You call Bowser, and he'll come to whatever character you send after him. Or you can send yourself, of all things. But it's a lot of fun. And then there was the Unlucky Lamp, where you can have Jenny move the star to another space. Now, with all that being said, Nintendo, I hope you're watching this. I don't know if you plan to do it with DLC, but for Mario Party Superstars, I'd much rather you delay the video. Delay the game. And that way we can get all the board maps from the first 3 Mario Parties. And all of its mini games. You know, you don't have to add the GameCube and Wii games, but by all means, bring back the original games. Bring back the original board maps. You don't have to remake the stories, but just bring back all the board maps from the first 3 games. Make it a full-on Mario Party HD Trilogy remake. I'd love to see those mini games in newer high definition. Some of these mini games were brought back in Mario Party the Top 100 for the 3DS, but that was more of a cash grab. I think Mario Party Superstars definitely has potential to return Mario Party to its true self. Now, moving on, Mario Kart 64. This game is fun. Tied with Double Dash on the GameCube, this has to be my all-time favorite Mario Kart. There was Super Mario Kart, the first game in the series on Super Nintendo, where Mario and his friends participate in a Grand Prix tournament and a race. And there was like the Mushroom Cup, there was the Flower Cup, the Star Cup, and the Special Cup. And the Special Cup was known for having Rainbow Road, which is usually considered one of the hardest racetracks in Mario Kart, if not the Bowser's Castle levels racetracks. But this Bowser's Castle was in the Star Cup in this. I remember going there because I remember playing that racetrack because I wanted to see that green thwomp behind bars. But it's a lot of fun. Definitely a friend destroying game. But hey, that's Mario Kart. The blue shell. We all know that gives flashbacks. But, you know, by all means, if you have it on, I don't know if it's on Wii U eShop, but if you can find this game, pick it up. It's a lot of fun. Now, moving on. Here is a classic that I believe does not get much love and attention. Paper Mario. I remember getting this game for Valentine's Day 2001. It was Mom woke me up one morning. She brought me upstairs to her room, and she gave me this game as a present. I assume my sister got something, but I can't quite remember what she got. But I remember her getting me this game, and after she showed me the game, she took it to my room, and I went to school that day. I kept thinking about this game, and eventually when I got home, I rushed to my room, got to this game, and man, I had a blast. Now, excuse me for a second. I got a bowl of ice cream here. It's already melted, but I better start eating it. So, sorry about that, guys. But anyways, the story is Bowser goes to Star Haven and steals the Star Rod. He uses the Star Rod to become invincible, lifts Peach's castle up in the sky, sitting on top of his castle and floating Koopa Clown, giant Koopa Clown car. He has his personal Koopa Clown car, which was from Super Mario World on Super Nintendo, and the main theme to this game is a slight remix of Super Mario World. But, so Mario, he has to rescue all the 7 star spirits and retrieve the Star Rod and defeat Bowser, so people's wishes can come true. And that's the power of the Star Rod. It has the power to grant everyone's wishes. And when the stars found out that Bowser, when Bowser finds out his wishes are being ignored because the 7 star spirits do not grant selfish wishes, that's when he steals the rod. Eventually, Mario retrieves the rod, beats Bowser, rescues Peach, and saves the Mushroom Kingdom. Interesting thing about this game, it was developed by Intelligent Systems, known for the Puzzle League series, the Fire Emblem series. Square Enix actually started development of this game. Back in '96, near the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan, there came Super Mario RPG. And this game carries elements and inspirations from Mario RPG. You have to collect 7 stars to save the world. There's an evil villain. Now, in Paper Mario, Bowser's the villain this time, a more traditional Mario game. But in later, like the Thousand Year Door, the sequel, there was a secret society of Xnauts. They were the villains who kidnapped Peach. In Super Mario RPG, Bowser kidnaps Peach at the start, but then all 3 get separated by X or the Sword, controlled by the Smithy Gang, and he was the villain of Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG had a boss group called the Axim Rangers, and they were based off Super Toei Corporation's Super Sentai, which we call in America the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Then in Paper Mario, there came the Koopa Brothers. They were based off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then the Thousand Year Door had Rock Hog based off Hulk Hogan. It's just that it's a lot of fun. But, right after when Sony came out with the PlayStation and they started developing the Final Fantasy games for the PlayStation, like Final Fantasy VII, Square dropped this game, and Intelligent System picked it up to make a more spiritual successor, Paper Mario. Again, you can get this on the Wii U eShop, but let's pray and hope Nintendo makes a Paper Mario Trilogy collection for the Switch. You get this game, The Thousand Year Door, and Super Paper Mario. That'd be a lot of fun. Please take notes, Nintendo. Great game. Highly recommend you pick it up. Even if you're not a fan of JRPGs, pick this game up. You're going to love it. Moving along. Let me get another bite of my ice cream. I have it at a bowl. Now, here's an interesting one. Yoshi's Island. I forgot to mention, see, like I said before, Banjo-Kazooie was the very first game we picked up when we got the 64. The second game we got was Mario Kart 64. And eventually we got this game. It was my sister's. I think it was. I can't remember. But I barely remember we picked this up for her because she likes Yoshi. I think this is a pretty interesting game. It's not a great game by any means because it is short, but it can be much longer if you want to play through all the levels. The story of Yoshi's story, try saying that 3 times fast, is that baby Bowser steals the Super Happy Tree, and all the Yoshis are depressed. But in order to grow happy, they have to go through all the different pages of the story, eat 30 pieces of fruit, and at the end of the 3rd chapter, you fight a boss. And then, the first chapter, you're in a basic Yoshi level. Chapter 2, you're in a cavern-themed level, or some sewers. And then the 3rd chapter, you're in the sky. You're climbing these towers to find the Peekaboo Ghost. That's the boss. There's these 2 different snowy levels where you fight a cloud genie-like monster. And then there was another monster where you throw eggs at his lips and they bust. Hold on a second, guys. My battery is running low for my phone. May have to get a charger for it. In this game, it's short, not great, but and then there was the jungle theme level in Chapter 4. There was a underwater theme level, or Pirate Shy Guys, on the land in Chapter 5. And in Chapter 6, you go to Bowser's castle himself, you beat him, you get the super happy tree. And in the second chapter, I also think the third chapter, I forgot to mention, the third chapter has a cloud-like monster where you gotta eat them like candy. But you can also unlock a white Yoshi and a black Yoshi. The black Yoshi, he's immune to the peppers that hurts Yoshi's health. You can eat a piece of heart and you'll become invincible for a brief period of time, have infinite eggs. And yeah, it's a longer tongue. It's quite a bit of fun. Not great by any means. I'd recommend the standard Yoshi's Island games. But if you have a 64, I'd say pick this up. I think you'll give it a like. Now, before I continue, let me see if I can find my charger. I'm going to have to put my phone on charge since it's almost dead. I'm sorry, guys, but until I can find till I can afford a better camera, I'm going to have to stick with my phone. All right, let's see here. Hope this don't affect the stand. All right. Oh, crud, my charger's coming off. Sorry, guys. No, it's not going to stand. Sorry, I'm just going to have to hold my phone from now on. Now, here is a classic that I really enjoy. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It is one of my all-time favorite adventure games. My favorite Legend of Zelda game of all time. It was the first 3D adventure Zelda game. Definitely a classic. Definitely worth your time. And what makes this game unique is that you start off as a kid Link, a child Link, and you have to collect the 3 spiritual stones to open the door of time. And there you find the Master Sword. You become adult Link. You can do all these things that you couldn't do as a kid. There was the Forest Temple, which had a creepy ambience to it. There's 4 ghosts you have to beat to go to the lair of the temple to fight Phantom Ganon. There's the Fire Temple. I think you could beat the Water Temple before the Fire, or if you want to go in order, there's the Fire Temple you can beat. And because this is the 64 version of the game, you can hear those Islamic praying chant in the Fire Temple, and that kind of caused a bit of controversy for the Zelda series, and they had to remove it in later versions of the game, like the GameCube version, the Virtual Console version, and the I'm trying to think, the 3DS version. But of course there was the Water Temple, and I got a confession to make. I don't think the Water Temple is actually hard. I just think it's long and boring. I can probably see why some people would think it's hard, because it can get confusing if you don't know what you're doing. But like I said, it's a lot of fun. There's the Shadow Temple, which is really creepy if you're brave enough to get there. Maybe as an adult, but when I was a kid, ooh, that gave me chills. There was the Spirit Temple. That was a cool temple. And then you got all the spiritual stones. You go back to the Temple of Time, and then you meet Zelda. She gives you the light arrows, and then you got to go to Ganon's tower because he kidnaps Zelda. Meet Ganon face to face. You start off with the traditional Ganondorf fight. He shoots these energy balls. You play a game of tennis by deflecting them back at him. And then you escape the tower with Zelda, and then he goes into his monstrous warthog, Ganon. You lose the Master Sword for a brief period of time, but if you get the Giant's Knife, which does more damage, you can beat him with ease. You know, you can stun him by shooting light arrows in the face. But yes, this is a classic. Love this game. My all-time favorite Zelda. And especially like in 2011, where I guess it was remade for the 3DS. It had texture improvements, but the music and sound effects were the same. They don't have to do this, but much like the Mario 3D All-Stars, I want to see a Zelda 3D All-Stars. I mostly just want Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD to get ported to the Switch, but it would be nice if they could port Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask to the Switch. They don't have to do it, but I think it would be pretty nice. As far as Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, they could have they can have like a remake or a remaster. I personally don't think Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask need remakes. I still think they hold up to this day, but they already had graphic improvements over on the 3DS version, textures improvement. Maybe they can remaster the 3DS version, port them to the Switch, but give you the option to switch between the remaster and the original. Kind of like Halo the Master Chief Collection. I like this game. A lot of fun. My overall favorite Zelda game. Overall favorite adventure game. But not overall favorite game of all time. If you prefer another Zelda, hey, that's cool. Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, like there's multiple ways you can get this. If you're fortunate enough to find one of the GameCube copies, be prepared to pay an arm and a leg. But you can find the 3DS version. It's kind of cheap nowadays. I mean, I know the 3DS has been discontinued. You get all the different 3DS models. I use the 2DS XL. Really cool game. A lot of fun. Pick this game up. You won't be disappointed. Now, speaking of Zelda, we have Majora's Mask. This is a good one. I like it, but I have to prefer Ocarina of Time. One of the things I dislike about this game is that you have 3 days to rescue Clock Tower. Sure, you can turn back the time, but I don't like it when you've got all that much time to save the world, to save the land of Termina. Like, this is a follow-up to Ocarina of Time. At the end of Ocarina of Time, Link's fairy companion Navi leaves him, and he goes on a quest to find her. And then that's when he ends up in the alternate dimension, the land of Termina. And in this game, you play the Song of Time to turn back the 3-day cycle. You go to the 4 different lands, the Southern Swamp, to rescue one of the 4 giants. You go to the north of the Snowhead. Snow Mountain, I think that's what it is. And then there's the Great Bay Ocean in the east. And the Stone Tower Temple of the west. You beat their temples, beat their bosses, reclaim their remains of the mask, and you rescue the 4 giants, and you can go take on the Skull Kid. Because at the beginning of the game, he takes your ocarina. After the 3-day cycle is up, you go to the top of the clock tower in Clock Town. You shoot because you start off as a Deku Scrub. You get these 4 different masks. You get a Deku Scrub mask that turns you into a Deku. You get the remains of Dormani. He turns you into a Goron. The remains of Zora, Mikau, and he turns you into a Zorafish. And if you collect all the different masks in this game and turn them in at the end of the game to all these kids, and then you can fight the final boss, and he'll give you the Fierce Deity mask, and you become an adult Link. And you can fight Majora's Mask. Great game. Definitely recommend it. I can't promise you'll enjoy it because, once again, the 3-day cycle. But, hey, if you're willing to look past that, you're definitely going to have a lot of fun. Now, I think my charger's coming loose. Let me fix it again. My phone. There we go. Now, here's a game cartridge that I can't get working, but it's a game that I love very dearly. Donkey Kong 64. I love this yellow banana cartridge design. It's really cool, and it came bundled with the jungle green Nintendo 64, but I didn't get that bundle. I just got the game itself for Christmas 1999. Very big open world, well, not open world, but a very big platforming adventure game from the creators of Banjo Kazooie. Definitely a lot of fun. You got 5 different playable Kongs. You got Donkey Kong himself, his nephew Diddy. You got Lanky Kong, the orangutan with stretchable arms. You got Tiny Kong, who can twirl in the air with her pigtail hair. And then there's Chunky Kong with massive brute strength. King K. Rool steals 200 golden bananas out of the banana horde, much like in the original Donkey Kong Country for Super Nintendo. And this is pretty much Donkey Kong Country 3D. The collectathon in it is kind of repetitive. You got these boss keys to get to rescue K. Lumsy, and he can help you beat King K. Rool. Sorry, I had the hiccups there. And there's the banana medallions after collecting 75 miniature bananas in the game. It's just the collecting is very repetitive. I like collectathons, don't get me wrong, but they kind of overdid it with this game. I understand it was supposed to be a big game, that you had to get the expansion pack, and I'll show you. Inside my 64, there's the expansion pack. It's required to play Donkey Kong 64, or you can't play it at all. The reason for this is because the game had a bug in it that would randomly crash the game. They could not find a way to fix it. The only way they could fix it, though, was the use of the expansion pack. When they plugged it in, the game would play just fine. So they bundled the expansion pack with the game, and it ended up costing them a fortune. I forgot to mention, the expansion pack is also required to play Majora's Mask. It's also required for Perfect Dark just to play the single player. I remember picking up a used copy of Perfect Dark, but and when I tested it, they had a playable 64 there. When I tested it, it was only the multiplayer I had access to. But really good game, and for some reason I can't get this cartridge to work. I sprayed it with alcohol, same with my 64, and it still won't read the disc or the cartridge. It's just annoying. I had this game downloaded on the Wii U, and believe you me, I hate digital distribution, but as of right now, it's the only way I'm going to play the game. Unless I can get another physical copy for this, or if I can find a way to get my cartridge working, or if they port it to the Switch, I'll probably be able to play it there. I hope maybe Nintendo can partner with Playtonic or another development company and make another 3D Donkey Kong game, because I thought it was fun. It's not the best game in the world, but it is my third favorite Donkey Kong game. You get all these different mini games. You beat these mini games, and you get a golden banana. You get these battle arenas and to collect the crowns. And then you play the original Donkey Kong arcade. You beat it once, get a golden banana. Beat it twice, get the Nintendo 64 coin. And then there was Cranky's Jetpack game by Rare, back when they were known as Power Play the game. I think if you score over 5,000 points, you get the Rareware coin. And those are required to unlock the last door in King K. Rool's hideout, and you get the last boss key. And then you get the final banana fairies, which you got to capture them by taking a picture with the camera. And you get a golden banana with the Rareware logo on it. I would like to see a sequel to Donkey Kong 64, and another 3D follow up. Bring back the original 5 Kongs, and let Tiny, or and if they want Dixie and Lanky, or not Lanky, Dixie and Kitty from Country 3, if they can be playable, that'd be great. But I don't know. It's funny, I once read somewhere where Game-A-Lot, the makers of Golden Sun and the Mario Golf and Tennis games, it seemed like, I remember reading somewhere where they were going to make the sequel, and obviously they never did. So, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, moving on. Diddy Kong Racing. This was a lot of fun. And believe it or not, this was the very first racing video game to include a story. The main island is Timber Island. Like, I don't know if you can see him, but that tiger there is Timber. His parents are away for a while, and he invites his friends over with Squawks the Parrot. That's how Banjo, Donkey Kong, and all their friends were able to communicate. There was Conquer the Squirrel when he was in a more kid-friendly aspect. There was Banjo, and this actually was the first game to feature Banjo in '97. And it was a lot of fun. And he was one of my most played characters because Banjo-Kazooie was my favorite game. Then there was the Genie of the Island. He guides Diddy and all his friends to lead an army against the evil Whiz Pig. And he's an evil intergalactic space pig, wizard space pig that takes over the island. And your goal is to stop him, is to race in all these different tournaments. Beat him in the race, you save the island, but then eventually he returns to the island. And he tries to take it over, but then the lighthouse gets turned into a spaceship, and you go to his alien planet, and then you beat him again, you save the universe. It was supposed to receive a sequel called Donkey Kong Racing for the GameCube, but right after when Microsoft got bought by Rare, it ended up being canceled, unfortunately. So, and to make matters worse, much like DK64, this cartridge doesn't work. I don't know if you can see them, but there's some bent up pins, and it won't read anymore. So I'll more than likely have to get another cartridge for it to get it to play, but who knows? Since we're in the 40th anniversary of the character Donkey Kong, maybe the franchise, there goes my dog's barking, but maybe, just maybe, we'll probably get a DK64 sequel, follow-up, I hope the future for the franchise, but we'll just have to wait and see. If you're fortunate enough to get Diddy Kong Racing, by all means, pick it up. You won't be disappointed. Now, here's an interesting game, but I cannot recommend at all. Hey You Pikachu. Oh, goodness. Good grief. When I was a kid, I used to have fun with this game religiously. But now as an adult, it's just not all that fun anymore. It's not the worst video game in the world, but it's just, it gets boring every now and then when you're an adult. It had a microphone adapter for the 64. It just, for kids, I can see why they would enjoy this. But when you're an adult, and I never got to the ending of this game, it's there. It certainly is. There's gameplay footage. Masay and Ella did a Let's Play on it. Some Call Me Johnny did a review. But I never got to end the story. So, it would have made a nice gimmick for the 3DS. But it's just Nintendo. It was nothing more than a cheap cash grab. And it never did come to the 3DS. If you do got a kid who's a fan of Pokemon, they love Pikachu, I'd say, yeah, probably get this game for them. But if you're a Pokemon fan in general, or for the average gamer, no, I can't recommend it. I'm just sorry. I know that's going to upset a lot of fans, but I hate to say it, but I'd much rather play Pokemon Puzzle League than Hey You Pikachu. So, although the microphone did make good use for future Nintendo games like the Nintendo GameCube, it was used for a role-playing game called Odama. But then it made great use for the Mario Party games like Mario Party 6 and 7. Unfortunately, I don't have the microphone for Hey You Pikachu. I lost it. I just never took care of it. But that's water under the bridge now. But now these are the Pokemon games you want to look forward to. These are the ones you want to get for the 64. Pokemon Stadium 1 and Pokemon Stadium 2. It's a 3D role-playing game for the Pokemon series. You can rent these Pokemons, or if you can transfer them from your Game Boy on the first and second generation, they're that fun. You got those mini games. You got the Gym Leader Castle where you get the badges and go to face the Elite Four. And in the first Pokemon Stadium, you get all the Pokemon Stadium trophies. You get all the badges and beat the Elite Four and the champion. You get to unlock Mewtwo. You battle him. You win. And it's a lot of fun. Much better than Hey You Pikachu. Speaking of Pokemon, got one last game. Pokemon Snap. This is pretty fun. You play as a character named Todd Snap. You go on this island adventure to take pictures of wild Pokemon. You go to the beach, a tunnel, a volcano area, a river area, a cavern level, trying to think. You go to another river-based valley level. You take pictures of all these Pokemon formations, the signs. You unlock the Rainbow Castle. It's magnificent. Not the best Pokemon game in the world, but hey, much better than Hey You Pikachu. That's for sure. I definitely recommend you pick it up if you can find it. I think it's on the Wii U eShop. I could be wrong. But if you do see this, pick it up. Or if you want to get the sequel that's on the Nintendo Switch, by all means, pick it up. I haven't got the sequel yet, but I can tell it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe a big improvement over the first game. Now, moving along. Oh boy, here's another classic. The original Super Smash Brothers. A Nintendo All-Stars fighting game. Not a traditional game like Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, etc. But this was a big deal back then. See, when I was a kid, I mostly got a Nintendo 64. I mostly looked at Nintendo as banjo kazooie and Mario. But this game right here introduced me to Nintendo as a whole. It was The Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, Kirby, Star Fox, Metroid, F-Zero, Earthbound. That's why I hold Super Smash Bros. Dear to my heart. I know the community's become toxic, and believe you me, I want to be a good voice for the community and say, hey, you may not like Smash Brothers, but that's okay, I respect that. But this game was a lot of fun. You play the single player, you fight Giant Donkey Kong, you fight the Mario Brothers team, you fight multiple Yoshis, multiple Kirbys with the different Kirby hats, how he copies the abilities of all these other characters. But it's a lot of fun. You get to the polygon team, you break the targets, you board those platforms, and you race to the finish. And then when you meet the Master Hand himself, it gets serious. It was originally a low-budget game and intended to be a Japan-only title, but because it was so successful in Japan, they were able to localize it worldwide. But starting with Smash Melee, the Smash Brothers series took a turn for the best. I want to save those for different videos, for future videos. Nowadays you can get Smash Ultimate and you'll have all these different characters, but I'm going to try and keep this low. Again, I'm going over an hour and 44 minutes. But this game, my gob, my friends, it's a lot of fun. Pick it up. You won't be disappointed. Now moving along. Kirby 64. I think this game was my first steps into the world of Kirby. Kirby is this little pink puff ball, an extraterrestrial being, has the ability to copy abilities. But it was his first step on the Nintendo 64. It was a sequel to one of the Dreamland games where the dark matter takes over Ribbon Star. And you have to collect the crystal shards and reclaim Ribbon Star. The power-ups in this game are fun. There's the there's the main world Pop Star, Kirby's Land, Dreamland. Then there's the Rock Star level, the Aquatic Star level, the Neo Star level, where you're in a volcano and a cavern. Or I think there was also a jungle theme to it, but it was more volcanic and cavern-based world. There was the Shiver Star, which looks like a post-apocalyptic Earth. And then you finally come across Ripple Star, but if you collect all the crystal shards, you can unlock the final Dark Star level and beat the Dark Matter. Classic game. I think you can get it on Wii U eShop, but if you have a 64, pick it up. It's a lot of fun. Moving along. Now, another classic, Star Fox 64. This is my favorite Star Fox game in the series. It was the one I started with, and like I said, because of Smash Brothers, I know what Star Fox is, Kirby, F-Zero, you name it. It's funny, Star Fox first started off on Super Nintendo, and it was supposed to have a sequel, which the sequel eventually came out in 2018 for the Super Nintendo Classic. Actually, I think that was 2017. My bad, I don't know for sure, but anyways, the Star Fox 2, its development, it was complete and it was ready for distribution, but Nintendo shelved it at the last minute because they wanted a fresh new start on the 64. So they rebooted the game with this. You play as the Star Fox pilot team. You go to all these different planets. You take the easy route at first. You get to the planet Venom and you fight Andross, but then you find out it was only a decoy, because then once you play the hard route, you find the true form of Andross. You take him down and you save the Lilat system. There was a multiplayer mode. In most of the game, you fly around in the R-Wing, take down enemy spaceships and Andross's forces. Now, in this game, they also introduced the Landmaster tank. The Landmaster tank is okay, but I'm really not a big fan of the Landmaster. I much prefer flying in the air. The Blue Marine, the submarine, was pretty good. I like it better than the Landmaster, but I still prefer the R-Wing. Great game, a lot of fun. You go to planet Katrina and meet Fox's old friend Bill. If you go to the planet Zonus, you meet Falco's friend Kat. It's a lot of fun. If you can get this on the Wii U eShop, if you can find a way to, and if you can get it on the Wii U eShop, or if you have a 64 laying around, pick this up. You won't be disappointed. I hope it gets ported to the Switch, or maybe we'll get a Nintendo 64 Classic. I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, guys, we reached an hour and 49 seconds. So I'm going to try and wrap this video up in under 2 hours. So I'll try not to talk too much of these next few games. Here's a good one. Jet Force Gemini. Or is it Gemini? I'm not sure how it's pronounced. But it's a third-person shooter developed by Rare. I first experienced this on the Rare Replay via Xbox One. But I wanted to pick it up on the Nintendo 64 just to see what the 64 version was like.
It's a really cool game. It's kind of repetitive where you have to rescue all those alien koalas, whatever they were called, in order to get the true ending of the game. I think they are required. All of them are, but it's a pretty good game. You play as Juno, then there's Vela, and there was that dog. I never got to him yet, but Juno and Vela I've unlocked. The multiplayer mode, it was okay. Not all that great, but it was Rare's first attempt of making a third-person shooter. Good game. Definitely recommend you pick it up. Get it on Rare Replay if you can. I heard Microsoft trademarked the game recently, a few years ago. So I hope we get a new installment. I hope it's good. But in the meantime, pick this game up. You won't be disappointed. Moving along. Perfect Dark. Now, here's an interesting game. Perfect Dark originally started off in development as a James Bond video game. It was supposed to be a video game adaptation to the GoldenEye follow-up, Tomorrow Never Dies. And because Nintendo had lost the license to publish James Bond games, Rare had already done the research and development, so they decided to make this a spiritual successor. And because Nintendo had a policy about publishing M-rated games back then, Rare decided to self-publish the game outside of Japan. Nintendo published it in Japan, but outside of Japan, Rare self-published it, but Nintendo distributed exclusively on the 64. Classic game. If you're a fan of first-person shooters, pick this up. Definitely recommend it over COD, Battlefield, Medal of Honor, whatever. But hey, that's just my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. But this, I will prefer over today's shooters any day. A lot of fun. We were supposed to get a sequel for the GameCube, but after the Microsoft buyout, the sequel was canceled and development started over. It has a prequel, Perfect Dark Zero. I think the prequel's okay. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but it definitely is but this is the best of the batch. Definitely fun. Definitely worth playing. By all means, pick it up. You won't be disappointed. You get it on Rare Replay, Xbox Live Arcade via the 360, Xbox Series X, S. What are you waiting for? Go get it. Now, here's another good game. F-Zero X, the sequel to F-Zero from Super Nintendo. This is the sequel for the Nintendo 64. I picked this up at a used game store down in Pikeville, Kentucky. Not Patriot, but it was called Game Time, I think. But now it's called the Gaming Company. If you're ever around Pikeville, Kentucky, by all means stop at that store. And stop at Page 3, because that's also where I got Perfect Dark and Rare, Jet Force Gemini. We do have a new Perfect Dark coming out for the Xbox Series X. I forgot to mention that. I apologize. But anyways, F-Zero X, a lot of fun. But it has to be my second favorite in the series. I think GX on the GameCube is the true cream of the crop. But this game, if you do see it, I'd say go for it. Pick it up. It's a lot of fun. It's a challenging racing game. I won't say it's the Dark Souls of racing, but hey, it's not a walk in the park. That's for sure. But I like this game. It's a lot of fun. Captain Falcon's the main hero because of Smash Brothers. I really don't know what else to say. It's that fun. Not the best game in the world, but by all means pick it up. You won't be disappointed. Oh, here is another classic. Oh boy. Prepare yourself. GoldenEye 007, James Bond. One of my favorite James Bond movies, but one of my all-time favorite first-person shooter games. I like this game a lot better than any shooter out here today. I like Halo, I like Doom, Perfect Dark, Time Splitters, other good shooters, but this beats them all. Forget COD, Forget Battlefield, forget Medal of Honor, especially Fortnite, forget that. This game is a lot of fun. It has a good single player mode to it, great difficulty balance, good use of weapons. There's a paintball mode cheat. There's a DK head mode cheat. It's a lot of fun. It retells GoldenEye all in a video game. Now, for laughs and giggles, they decided to add a multiplayer, but who'd have thought that the multiplayer would be the best part of the game? Invite your friends over, play it with your friends. It's that fun. I remember I went over to my cousin Derek's house one day back when I was a kid, and he invited some friends over, and we all played it together. We eventually played Perfect Dark as well, but this is one of the best first-person shooters out there. Forget COD, Battlefield, Medal of Honor, especially Fortnite. This is the true cream of the crop of first-person shooters. Now, like I said in Banjo Tooie, after Perfect Dark's completion, David Doak and his team, they left Rare to form Free Radical and make the Time Splitters series. Another game called Second Sight. An okay shooter called Haze for the PS3, but I'll try to save that for a different video. Classic game, great multiplayer, and even though it's based off GoldenEye, it has 2 additional levels based off other Bond movies. One was Moonraker, where you go to the Aztec to fight Jaws and launch the shuttle. But then there was a Egypt level where you fight Baron Samedi, the voodoo priest. You can get the golden gun. It's that great. GoldenEye, hands down best shooter. Pick this game up. You won't be disappointed. There's a remake of it for the Wii that came out in 2010. It's not a bad game, but not a much proper remake as we'd like to see. Now, here's an interesting game, but I cannot 100% recommend to everyone, and that's Castlevania 64. I found this box used at Pastries Game Zone once. Here's the game cartridge. This game does require the memory card. There's no eternal battery in it, but that's okay. This game is a lot of fun. Not the most fun. It does have some wonky controls, poor camera angles, but it wasn't really that bad of a game. I thought it was a pretty interesting 3D Castlevania game. I used to think it was as bad as the community said it was, but then Review Tech USA, he mentioned the game. He first played it, and it wasn't bad, and it was a true gothic horror game, and Konami had something planned with it. Then they came out with Legacy of Darkness, which I haven't played that one. I can't say much, but let me put the game back in front of you. Legacy of Darkness, I haven't played, so I can't comment on it, but I have heard it was considered one of the worst games, maybe next to this one of the worst games in the Castlevania series. I think Lords of Shadow debatably takes that cake. But anyways, you got Castlevania 64, fun game, not the best, definitely has its flaws. Even with its flaws, it definitely looked like Konami had something planned. But then the Legacy of Darkness came out, and I don't know what happened. It's just the 64 Castlevania games, they failed to convince gamers Castlevania would work in 3D. I don't know, but hey, maybe we'll get another true 3D Castlevania game. Maybe we'll get that Dark Souls style reboot to Castlevania. I'd love to see that. Rich has a pretty good idea there. But, I also played Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness on PS2. I think those were good games. And in my opinion, I think they could convince gamers Castlevania would work in 3D. But, unfortunately, that'll be a different topic for a different video. I'm almost going over to 2 hours. Let me see if I can wrap this up in under 2 hours. I doubt I will, but hey, let's just go ahead and finish this. Bomberman 64. I think this is Bomberman's first 3D adventure game. It was developed by Hudson, published by Nintendo. Pretty fun game. Definitely recommend you pick it up. Solid multiplayer. Not the best multiplayer, but pretty fun. There was a follow-up called 64 The Second Attack. I used to rent that a lot. I remember renting it at Superstar Video. That's where I rented most of my Nintendo 64 games. But, and you know, there's a grocery store that I currently work at. We used to have a video department back then. Back when I was a kid, I would go to that video department, and I would rent some of these Nintendo games. But, sadly, those days are over now. I miss a lot of those days. I wish I could go back to them. But, oh well. N64 The Second Attack, it's a rare game. It's going pretty pricey. But I hope to get it someday for my collection and play it again. I recently played it back in Vocational Training Center on an emulator. But it's still a fun game, and I definitely miss playing it. Now, moving on. Bomberman Hero. This is another pretty good game. It's Bomberman's first 3D platformer adventure. I cannot passionately recommend it to the Bomberman community, but if you're into Bomberman, if you're into platformers, maybe you will like it. I don't know for sure. I personally thought it was a lot of fun. Not the best Bomberman game, but definitely worth your time. Now, here's a classic. Wave Race 64. I remember playing this on another Nintendo 64, and then eventually I remember playing it again on my friend Bradley's Nintendo 64 when he had one. But when he stopped playing the 64, he gave me this copy, and I still play it to this day. It's that fun. It's that enjoyable. There's a Game Boy version, but there's the Blue Storm on GameCube, which I think is the best in the series. Nintendo, please bring this game back. It's a lot of fun. We'd love to play it again. But Dead or Alive Extreme 2 seems to be the closest one we can get. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, here's the last game in my collection. But this game is criminally underrated. And I definitely recommend you pick it up if you can. Seems like you can only play it on an emulator if that's your only option. But by all means, pick this game up. Glover. This is a fun game. Not one of my favorites, but I really enjoy it. You play as a wizard's glove named Glover, and he goes on an adventure to retrieve the crystal balls to return the power to the wizard's castle. The wizard, he works on an experiment. It goes wrong, and Glover's brother falls into the pot. He becomes the evil Cross-Stitch. But Glover himself has to take on Cross-Stitch and save the world. Really fun game. Got to keep up with the ball. If you lose the ball, you lose a life. You lose all your lives, game over. But I remember some of the levels in this game. The Atlantis-themed level, that was fun. Really enjoyable. Best music in the game. One of the most beautiful, relaxing musics I've heard in video game history. If you can find a chance to get this game, I heard somewhere on Twitter, I heard this game was going to get a remake. I could be wrong, but we all know how toxic Twitter is, so I could be wrong. But hey, to anyone working in the video game community, anyone in the industry, find a way to secure the rights to this game. Pick it up. You won't be disappointed. If you're a fan of platformers, pick this game up. It's a lot of fun. Avoid the PS1 version at all costs, unless you want to torture yourself, and just stick with the Nintendo 64 version. And believe me, that's coming from a PlayStation guy. So, well, that's it, everyone. I'm sorry I failed to stay under 2 hours. There was just a lot to say on these games, but I'll try to keep my future collection videos low and short. But that's the Nintendo 64 for you. That's my collection. Well, I'm not going to put it up in front anymore, but I think up next time, if I decide to do another collection video, I'm probably going to do my Nintendo GameCube collection, probably my Wii, Wii U, Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 2, 3, 4. Maybe if I can start building up my
Nintendo, Super Nintendo collection, Genesis collection. Maybe I'll get a Sega Saturn and build up a collection of library of games there. Maybe build up my Dreamcast collection, my Vita collection, PSP, Switch. Who knows? But that's my Nintendo 64 collection for you. I hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed me running my mouth on the Nintendo. Man, I talk too much. I need to get some water. My throat's getting a little sore. But that's the Nintendo 64 for you. It is my all-time favorite game in the series, or my all-time favorite video game console. There was just so much to say. I hope you get an inspiration out of this. And Firehawk, man, if you're still around, if you're still watching this video, thank you for being an inspiration. Thank you for giving me the inspiration to make these collection videos. And I'm sorry for taking too long, guys. But if I do a GameCube collection video, I'll probably try and keep it short. But until then, this is Optimus N64 signing out. Stay gold, my beautiful people. Stay gold.